Hi, Paul. Thank you for being here. And I think before we begin into the conversation, I think you are holding a treasure trove. What you have discovered, I think, is a gift for humanity. And I think hopefully in this podcast, we explore it. It is like a match in a dark room, you know. And would you say a little bit about yourself, I think?
So Paul Fayad, my background is in, okay, threw me off there for a second. Paul Fayad, my background is in business administration. I have a master's degree that specialized in, with a focus in organizational behavior. So I've spent maybe the last 20, 25 years in research trying to figure out personalities and behaviors. So it's become not just a part of my business, but almost an infatuation of understanding human nature and why we do the things we do, how genetics plays into it, and how our behaviors are shaped by those genetic personalities that we inherit. And what is it that we can do in order to be able to modify our behaviors, knowing through an assessment what our personalities are so that we can move forward as better humans and give people an opportunity for greater relationships. So it's my honor to be here and my honor to be with you.
My name is Dhyan Vimal. I'm a boy from a fishing village who seemed to be the head of the DV Institute. So I have a question, Paul. I have a view care can be a toxic thing. I think we are asked to care to lure into things we don't care about. We are judged for not caring. We're trying to create a world that is full of care and love. I think we have to talk about the toxicity of care. That care has been made into a weapon. And I finish my statement. In my tradition, in the world of enlightenment and meditation, detachment is the key. And detachment appears to be not caring. I'm detached. Right? And I think there's a confusion. Detachment, care, and in your work that you have done the PAT and you have done all this research on human personality, my statement is, I think care can be toxic. And I'm suspecting 9 out of 10 elements of care is toxic or poison. How would you comment on that, bro?
No, it's beautiful. I think we have to go from individual to universal. I think when we consider care, we always bring it to the personal. It's always, do I care for this person? Do I care for these people? Instead of care becoming the universal, do I care about the world? Do I care about humanity? Do I care about the bigger picture? So it's almost a double-edged sword. We're born and we're taught to care for ourselves at times and mainly for other individuals. My mother cares for me as a child. My father cares for me as a child. I take that and I see it as a very individual thing. So when care is individual, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. If we only think of care as caring about the one, it's toxic. At some point, I've got to justify, rationalize, and realize that care has to be the overall theme of things. So detachment, I love the concept. I never thought of it until you brought it up, is the idea that I could detach from that moment of being personal to take it long enough to understand that maybe this isn't good for everyone. So I think those who are against us, those who are the drillers, as we call them, the narcissists and the other ones, they want you to care about them, the individual. So then we get wrapped up in that care and we don't see what we do to everyone else.
I think, like, if you take neo-Nazi, I think racism, I think it's misplaced care. Actually, that is not care. No? I feel like you're asking somebody not to care in the name of care. And I think this has plagued us. My suspicion. So when my forefathers and masters talk about detachment, I'm asking myself this question, and to anybody listening, are they asking us to detach from the toxicity of care, that the personal outweighs the rest? So is humanity birthed in that state of detaching the personal care as an act of betrayal to all?
Yeah, I think most definitely. So if you're brought up in a racist family, neo-Nazi family, they take the individual and they degrade the individual, and they do it over and over and over again, so that if I see a black person, they're all the same. I can't look at them as a race. I can't look at them as a universal picture, because if I do, then I might change my mind. So I focus in on, if I'm neo-Nazi or if I'm on the individual, these are individuals. They're not a group of people. It's easier for me to discount them.
So could be false care. The casualty of false care is love? I'm asking. Is the casualty of false care is love? And if I get caught in false care, I abandon love for myself too. I don't understand self-love. I understand love where I'm involved in it too, but that's another argument. So I'm asking the question, but are we being manipulated? Like you're the master in PAT and all that. I'm asking myself the question, are the PAT a kind of an insight to me how I can be made to care about something, abandon love, and participate in self-abuse in the name of whatever? Patriotism or racism or... So I'm saying, is PAT one of the tools that I need to know about me and how I can be a victim to the drillers? Would you say that, Paul?
Yes. So it's the PAT is a measurement to be able to see how it is that we'll respond, how it is that we'll have relationships with other people. So if your PAT, if the results of the PAT, this assessment is one where I don't have the strength, I don't have the comfort, and my default mechanism is I can't see through the different traits, then automatically we fall prey. So we can be convinced that this is love, but we give up ourselves, so it's a false love, most definitely. So the important part, any assessment, especially when we work with the PAT and we work with individuals, it's the idea that if I know that I could fall prey, if I know that this is not my comfort zone, if I know that this is my default, what do I have to do in order to be able to curb that and stop that? So there is a chance, but there has to be an acceptance.
No, because I think what has happened is some of the most innocent, good people have been somehow pulled in. And I think we need a gauge to know where my weakness is. Like, we are born, like you said, this tendency for alcoholism, we should avoid it. Tendency for this. So we know the inherent. I think it acts as like personal, test to see where you are at. Because we have supported false care by that betrayed love. And I think this is a message the world must see. We don't even know that we are unconsciously supporting the neo-Nazi. We don't even know we are unconsciously, and because we have our needs to fit in, we have our own needs. So I think figuring out oneself is the only way that one even have a chance not to fall prey, isn't it, Paul?
I think, yes. And I think what ends up happening is the chaos of the world disturbs the people and they lose track of what's going on. So in other words, they don't see what's occurring. The sitters, as we call them, will sit because they're struggling with their own personal life to begin with, let alone be able to see the outside world. And then the people that are the drillers can see that. So if you look at the world leaders right now, world leaders of huge countries, they drill constantly. They keep everybody in a position where confusion occurs, chaos occurs, so that they can continue to manipulate and do things off to the side while we're being fooled that this is the way to go. And then what ends up happening is the drillers find power in that. Yeah. They see the chaos because they strive in chaos. They see the chaos and they take it to their extreme. That now all of a sudden there's more neo-Nazis, we're bashing Asians, we're doing everything that we're not supposed to do, that we haven't done in a long time, or at least it was underground. Now it becomes popular because they're capable of making it popular, because leaders are drillers who are saying, you keep everybody confused while I steal the money.
Maybe one of the most beautiful statements. But I think the real casualty is, I think whenever love dies, we die. And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm not talking about the self-interest love. If love dies, I die. So I think, Paul, from studying a little bit with you on the PAT, I think the rowers are loyal to love. Not personal love, love. Drillers, I suspect, want to destroy love in the name of love. Is that what you say that?
Yeah, so the concept of the rower, sitter, driller is the rowers are the ones that they see the world for what can be, and they want to row towards that goal. So they're going to be the people that are trying to maintain the positive, trying to keep everything moving forward, using all their energy to do that. There's self-satisfaction, but there's satisfaction for the world, which I think is what you're referring to as the true love. So my love is for everyone. Doesn't matter who they are. I'm going to do everything I can to maintain this love. And I think that's the ultimate goal of them. Their high or their desire is everybody should love, therefore I'm going to row. The sitters, they're sitting in the middle, maybe confused, maybe because of their PAT. They have monitors in perception. They can't see things. It's not as clear to them as possible. So they could be manipulated. They can row if they see that there's a profit in there or that it means something to them. But they'll drill if they feel that that will draw attention and provide a different profit. And then the drillers are the people that their job is to put a hole in everything that goes on out there. It's all profit. So maybe if you look at it in that particular way, that love is profit, or love is the opposite of profit, I should say. The rowers are more in tune with love than profit. The drillers are more in tune with profit than love.
Wow.
And the sitters are in the middle saying, okay, I want to profit, but I want to love. But they don't even know half the time what love is.
Yep. I think the conversation is really about love, and not the love of Hollywood movies. I think when love gets hurt, everything gets hurt. I get hurt, you get hurt. But I think the word love has to be examined. I think the right way to put it is, one of my gurus, J. Krishnamurti, will say, I'm the rest of mankind. It's almost he has taken the responsibility to represent everybody. He is declaring his love. He said, I am the rest of mankind. What does that mean? I think he's considering everybody in every action he's doing. And I think we have not had conversations about this. The way the love is done is with a girl with big breasts and a guy with a six-pack. I think that's absurd, that is primitive, that is insulting. Maybe the conversation has to be to really understand that word love. But I have another man I very much admire, U.G. Krishnamurti. He said love is a four-letter word, which is true too. If you take the Nazi, if you study Hitler, he had a love for his country, unbelievable, according to people.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is the message has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Socrates, Gurdjieff, Krishnamurti, Osho, all the work that you're doing with the DV Institute, everything has been out there, but it's downplayed and they're all killed. So the people that actually know the truth, that speak the truth, that provide us with the truth, they don't have the power to do it, or they're silenced in some way, or they're abused in some way. And then we ignore that message because those who don't want that message to get out there will take advantage of the situation, say, well, he was a sex person, or he was a crazy man, or he didn't make any sense, or they discount them because the chaos has to strive in a world where there is no love. It has to be chaotic.
I think what Socrates said rings true even now. An unexamined life is a useless life. I think one shouldn't trust anybody until one has examined it. I think we live in a world, we want to take somebody else's word. We are in such a rush. We are not slowing down to take our time. Just because it's popular, it's not right. They say there's a psychology of a mob. Once a mob gets together, we all get sucked in based on the tribal instinct. I think I'm in the place where, at least based on the institute, is where you study, you don't follow. You inquire, you just don't falsely believe. You put yourself at stake and you apply your brain. And I think maybe the driller saves us the time to think, to take his word. That's how they'll get through. I think rovers, probably, Paul, have self-contemplative ability. They call it meditation, but again, meditation has been made into a cult practice, you know. I think meditation only lives with the Zen masters properly because they examine each one. That means, can I say, I cannot borrow a conviction. I have to come to it. I cannot adapt a belief until I've come to believe it. Right? Which means my pretension of knowing is false. I didn't earn my knowing. So maybe that is the direction that somebody has to go into. You know, you cannot be allowed to believe, take somebody's word. There are forces in the world. If you don't agree with what they believe, they kill you. And I think that should be outlawed. That we should be able to inquire, education, not programming, I think. I think we have set up a world, Paul, as I'm talking to you. It seems to be a fertile ground for the drillers. The drillers have set it up.
Yeah, and I think until there's a label. So when you can live in an environment where there are, I know everybody worries about labels and the concern of don't put a label on it, but I think in this particular case, there has to be a label. People have to be identified. And as both rowers, sitters, and or drillers, and the understanding is that I see what you're saying. I believe in what you're saying. That whole concept of what you've created with the ABC is the rowers can see the A, they see themselves, they understand themselves, and they know that they can accept someone else. So the process, that whole emotional intelligence is already started. It doesn't have to be taught. It's very natural. I know who I am. I can see the other person. Therefore, I can accept who the other person is. What ends up happening is, in most cases, that's not occurring. So the sitters are confused. They're struggling with their own self. The drillers know themselves, but don't want to see the other person because then they can't do what they need to do to them. And I think that's where the confusion lies. The problem is there's a small percent of those who row, but there's an equally small percent of those who drill. But the drillers have more power because we tend as a society to see that as a strength. That a person's an asshole or aggressive or rude or whatever the case may be, that's supposed to be a strength, that person can make something great. Right. They don't see it as the concept as that person has a self-interest. Right. So that's where the confusion.
But I think I would not forgive the sitter. I would not forgive a person who doesn't take a position. You're going, there's a child being abused, you don't want to get involved. You might not be the abuser. I think you should be prosecuted. If somebody is a witness to a crime, you should prosecute the guy who's witnessing to, why didn't you do something? I think we let by, and I think we all say that's none of my business, none of my business. No, it's my business, it's my world. So I think the driller can only strive when we, without examination, follow something or refuse to do. My suspicion is, Paul, they've created such a chaos, we all stand paralyzed. I was in Australia once, many years ago. I still remember this friend named Marshad Aziz, very nice guy. We were walking in a lake, I was looking at this, I know, very funny looking, but I don't know what you call it. It's like a duck. And suddenly a boy ran past by, a young boy, and I started like, hi, how are you doing? He said, don't talk to that boy. I'm like, why don't you talk to the boy? Oh, here, they'll accuse you of something. Accuse me of what? I'm like, are you kidding me? Are we living in such a world? That boy is paralyzed. A young kid is coming. I could see his mother coming. I'm like, hey, hi, son, how are you doing? He wants me to be paralyzed, not to do anything. Just because there could have been one pedophile or something. I'm not. I think what has happened to a lot of us, we have been forced to become sitters by the driller. And the rower is screaming and saying, come on, let's do this. And it's because they want to maintain an image. I can understand the evil person, Paul. In some sense, I can even accept and forgive. I cannot forgive the one who sits standby. They say when enough good people don't do, evil thrive. So I think the one is really on the cross. It's not the rower. It's not even the driller. I think it's the sitter. And the sitter is, my argument, Paul, You are not educating yourself. You are taking somebody's word for it. Don't read 2 books and say you are an expert in something. If you haven't put the work into it, you don't want to do it. I think we don't want to do it because, you know why? We really don't want to take the responsibility. And if you don't want to take responsibility, your ability to respond is not birth. If your ability to respond is not birth, the responder, which is you, never comes to life. You live dead. We want to be led. We want to trust. Like, I would never trust any government. I will be actively involved with the government. Maybe the message, I will take this opportunity to say, I am in the conviction no savior is coming. No savior is coming. Nobody is going to save us. We are on our own. I have no savior. I have come to something on my own something. Paul has come to something by himself. I don't think any savior is coming. And I think people who want to be saviors are just using that for sexual supremacy. And I think we have to face as a humanity the absolute sense of abandonment. I'm sure in the Auschwitz, when they were being killed, that experience must be absolute. And I think that causes depression, sorrow, anxiety. It's because they lied to us there's somebody there when somebody is not there. I think the whole thing begins when I know, oh, God damn, I'm alone. And the last time a guy was trying to tell this to people, they poisoned him. That is Socrates. Because if you really read Socrates' information, he says, examine yourself. Don't believe anybody. Don't take anything for the word. We take somebody's word thinking that somebody is going to rescue us when we realize nobody is. Nobody is going to love you until you reach to the point you love yourself and you know you can be loved. It's not a favor. And if I comment on this, I think the PAT gives one beautiful thing, This is you got to deal with it. I can't deal for you. No, I think that is the lie that has been told to us, isn't it? Women have been lied to, the hero is coming to rescue. I don't think they ever told a guy or woman will rescue you. We are too proud of that stuff. And I think everybody wants to play that. But when you play that, what are you telling somebody? Don't deal with you? I got you. You know what PAT does for me, Paul? It gives a real slap on the face to everybody, This is you got to deal with it. I cannot compensate for you. And I think humanity has reached a point, we've got nuclear weapon, we are doing things, we have poverty, we have children dying. If you look around, I don't think I'm an atheist, I don't think I'm an atheist. I am not an atheist. I think there are forces beyond us, but unless we wake up to it, it's not alive. That's all my statement. I don't think love is an independent reality from us, You can find somewhere where there is oil, water, gold, diamond, emerald, you can find. But there's no way you can drill for love except yourself.
I think, too, the way that society is built up. So little girls are princesses, which means they're going to be saved by a knight in shining armor. We have superheroes from Marvel and from DC Comics, and they're flooding, they're making tons of money, and they're flooding. We have the internet, so we have social media where people can pretend that they're heroes, pretend that they have a different life. So we're living in an illusion now even greater, maybe, than ever before because of mass media and the ability for us to be able to think that there will be a savior. So whether there is a savior coming or not a savior coming, what do we know when that point in time would be? So if I'm going to waste my life, not do anything, because I think maybe that savior is coming during my time, but he never shows up, then it's a wasted life. Yeah. So it's the idea that it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, it's a concept of believing in something so that we can sit and be satisfied. And that's when the drillers move in. So it's almost, the illusion is almost there, whether consciously or unconsciously, by the people who perpetrate it. But what ends up happening is the drillers see the door. They see the opening and they take advantage of women. They take advantage of people. They take advantage of societies. And we fall prey to that maybe they're the one.
Like, if I go with that, in my tradition, In the ancient masters' history, they all go and be alone for long periods of time. And I think the only value in the aloneness is I process my state of abandonment. That I have to kick in, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that is hijacked from childhood until we are incapable of. Two people are not getting together to wake up. Two woken up people are not getting together to wake up to more, They are holding the illusion, each are not alone. I always say, one of the things I hate about marriage is I have to pretend I'm not alone. I'm still alone. Not all alone, but I have to pretend. And I think that's what they are selling. They want you, I sound like I'm accusing, but hell with it. They are telling you, you don't have to show up. I got your back. And they don't have your back. And then they group you up. Then they create a problem and they try to make you the solution. My excitement about PAT, Paul, and your rover sitter drill, I think it's God sent. We have an eye to see now. At least it's a label. And the PAT, there's a measurement, right? It's 24 measurement to know exactly how your personality type is and you can deal with it. Like I take blood test report. It tells me. Now there's DNA testing. It gives me so much information that I can do something. If not, I am abandoning me and holding somebody responsible. I think it's a criminal activity, to not tell somebody you are alone. I will say this, I can only love you if you can be loved. I don't know how to love somebody that cannot be loved. I don't know how to do that because my love is not a favor. I will not hang a picture on my wall to make you feel good. It has to be a great picture. No, why would I hang it? And I think that my suspicion, Paul, that is the honesty that they hide, and because we have a latent weaknesses and they exploit. And I think that's where we get drilled and we end up being somebody we don't want to be, and then we betray love, we betray ourselves with that love.
Yeah, think about the idea of a self-examined life, right? How would you self-examine the life? Unless you use someone else to help you with that. And what if the other person has an ulterior motive to what they want to vision your self-examined life to be? We fall prey to that. So the assessment, the PAT, is we hope that it is the opportunity to do the self-evaluation without somebody else giving us their interpretation of what it is. If this is me, then I can evaluate it, I could see it, I become conscious, I see it in play, I witness what I'm doing, and then I can make my adjustments. But if we're constantly thinking that someone else is going to provide us with that examination, then you're prey.
I don't think that there's a chance. This is why I think it's a lifesaver. To me, it's one of the biggest breakthroughs as from my point of view of learning. And it also sits with the word detachment, Paul. Then I take away everybody's view over me. I have my view over me. I know me. Know thyself, they say, Know what is here. Because right now I know me based on how you see me and how you want me to know me. I am shaped based on your idea of what I should be, which will benefit you, not me. And it goes along with my master's statement of detachment. My master's detach means what? I'm taking everything away. I'm accusing almost everybody as a driller. So I look at myself for me, through me. And we offer that to another. That means I'm saying my sight can be toxic. My sight is toxic. Like I was in Canada, Paul, and we Asian, we eat with our hands. I remember with disciples sitting down, I was eating with my hand. They were looking at me funny. Then later I asked, what happened? It's funny, Master, watching you eat with your hand. I said, why not? We eat with our fork and spoon. Oh, I said, I understand. In Asia, our hands are clean. Was my statement. No, he couldn't even process me eating with my hand. What was that? And if I ask him to dictate who I am,
right, it would be lower.
Low. And maybe they're looking for the low. But I because they have killed a lot of native people, so I said, I understand. I have the compassion to understand.
So I think in the end, detachment is love, but it's self-compassion,
Oh my God.
self-empathy, self-love.
Wow.
So if I can hold off the world for a little while, then maybe I can really see myself. I can eventually, I have to let them back in, otherwise I have no relationship. But I think we want to attach so quickly to other people and to thoughts and idealisms and all kinds of things. For some odd reason, we want to attach. So there is no detachment. And detachment is the love, but it's the love of me.
But the attachment is the racism.
Right.
Attachment is the oppression of women. I got attached to my idea, the personal. So maybe detachment is I can suspend my personal prejudice and allow the universal to be present. And I'm leaving this to the audience. Could that be love? So is my master's right about detachment? Detachment doesn't mean I don't care about you. Detachment doesn't mean I am not involved with you. Detachment means I'm detached with my own corruption, my own limitation. Like I cannot admire a blonde lady, you know. When I first saw a blonde lady, I remembered my grandmother. White hair. So look at me. Where blonde is praised in the West. For me, it's grandma. Perfectly beautiful woman. I said, "They're not doing to me. You look like my grandma." I have to suspend that. I have to suspend that, you know. Like if I see I'm sorry to use that word, white person, I'm rather prejudiced. I think God left you with an undercoat. He didn't finish the job. That's why you keep coming to Asia to get brown. I understand. So I must suspend that prejudice. You get what I'm saying? And I hope it doesn't upset people, but if it does, I don't care.
On the flip side, they made people of color to be stupid.
Yeah.
They said that they had a different DNA, they actually said they had different blood. They said that they didn't have brain capacity enough to learn. And there are still people in the world that believe that and think that. So it's the same thing. But in one way, it's used as a weapon in order to make people subservient. In another way, it could be a joke, and it could be something that is innocent. But it's used as weapons. I love the concept of detachment as being disattach. Remove the attachment is the only way to free yourself and to see yourself more clearer. Eventually, you will attach. But at that moment, you will be a person who can attach and not somebody who becomes attached and now you're them.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. It's liberation of the will. It is me not being in the way of me. And I think that's the only way to attain love. And love includes all. So I detach this self so I can include all. My God. Maybe that's what Osho meant by celebration. No, I think I know that's what he meant by celebration. I'm detached from this prejudice, which I'm born to do, and suddenly I'm in love. In love, I find you in my love too. What I'm thinking now is how the driller going to use this to create a cult again to do the same nonsense from a back door. I feel like every religion came to give peace. I still believe so. But the contrary has happened. We have killed each other based on beliefs of God. But I add this, Paul, for this podcaster. I live in a country, it's a very beautiful country, you know. It's called Malaysia. We have something called Adat. We have three religions: Islam, Hinduism, Taoism, I think Buddhism, Chinese. We are good. In our differences, we find similarity. In our villages, we are one family. I really think I want to preserve that. You know. I'm very proud of it. We have our little problem, small problem, not big deal, small problem. Our food colliding, you know. Indian has entered the Malay has entered the Chinese has entered. It's all over the place. We have a unique, you come to my country to eat. And I think it's under assault. It's under assault. And that I want to protect. Here we embrace the intelligent, even the stupid person has a place to stay here. We are one family. And I think the best export of my country is going to be my adat, my way, our culture. I'm not Indian, I'm Malaysian Indian. My teachers, my masters are that. You know why? They had to detach from their prejudice. Well, the Muslims don't eat pork. The Chinese do. We have so many different things. But what happened? We control ourselves not to be prejudiced. That means there's a certain level of detachment. By that, there is a universal brotherhood here. Wow. I must thank the podcast to give me the opportunity to say that. I've traveled the world, and I think this is our biggest export. The way we are here. There's a temple here, there's a mosque over there, there's a Chinese shrine over there. We do not have a problem.
But see, the problem is the West has labeled third world, emerging nations, instead of looking at culture as being what makes a nation great. They look at gross national product. They look at the ability of that country to have an army. They look at the ability of that country to have something of what they determine to be value. And the value of each one of these, and I've traveled all over the world, the value of each country is their culture and how the people are with each other. We can actually learn a lot more if we spend more time in each other's cultures, immersing ourselves in that culture, and then realizing that there are positive things and negative things to every culture. What has ended up happening is in most developed nations, they feel that they're beyond having to look at anyone else. So there will always be that split. There will always be, we are better, you're not better, that whole concept. We're going to lose all of this. We're going to lose the cultures because some of the emerging nations want to take on those cultures instead of thinking, how do I merge it? So right. Malaysia, all these countries have to be careful that they maintain their culture, because it's a beautiful culture here. It's a beautiful culture in Nepal, in India, but people don't see what those cultures are.
But I think, Paul, Trump has done more than you'll ever know. He has helped us to look at some of the most powerful country on the world as, how the hell did you guys let this happen? I must thank him. I sent a postcard. I love my prime minister. I love my country now more. That idiot with his racist ideology, I think it's amazing.
Are we keeping that in? Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I kind of, I got to go back home. You know that.
I know. No, it is not an insult to America. It's an insult that, how the hell did we let that happen? When I speak about Hitler, I'm not talking about German, no. It's a warning for us. We can let an idiot up there, which is the driller, Paul.
Oh.
And he makes you selfish, and he recruits you. He makes you betray love. So my message, if I have, watch, are you being asked to betray love?
I think you have to look at every country. I mean, every country has had a history. Russia with their history of their leaders, China with their history of leaders, Germany, even England, and all these other countries. You know, England doing things for the sake of colonialization and changing worlds. All of these different countries, including the United States, most definitely the United States right now, because it's supposed to be a superpower. The concept of superpower is misunderstood. It's a label that means that we have more bombs than everyone else in the world, but not the power of what we can portray as humanity. It's the power of over people. And now it's become a norm since the wars, the world wars. So we've lost the idea of what is important, and that's how people can make it into power. Because suddenly I'm not important, so I'm going to find somebody who speaks this craziness of values that are distorted, and I'm going to put him in power, and then I'll get my value back. That's sitters.
Beautiful analysis. You see, one thing I must say, as much as I make fun of America, if there is human right, if there is women liberation, if there is some sanity, that's a country, brew it, So I worship that too. If there is any sensibility in some sense, freedom, that's a country. I don't even think Europe has it that much. I think Europe is still recovering from the Napoleon complex. I also say that. That's why I watch more American news than anything else, Because that's a land of liberty. I can do what I want. I can be the person I want to be. I'm just saying, even a country with that value can let somebody that slip. I think you have to be detached. I think you must learn not to trust that easily. You must not let people in. An unexamined life is a dangerous life. Like, if I go back into this, a bit of a cell, what I am trying to create is a place of study, not follow. A place of inquiry. It's not to take anybody's word. For you to do the work. For you not to be blind. For you to wake up. Because I don't know what the future will be. You have to contribute. I'm not saying I have the answer or Paul have the answer. We are giving some tools. I think we have to be the answer. And maybe, are we going to answer? Can we answer? Yeah. Maybe what I'm saying, maybe it's time to celebrate love for real, Maybe it's time for humanity to roar, not just one individual or another. I think the movement is to annihilate you and just place my image of you, which is value to me alone. That's what they try to do. They try to make you worship them so they become everything by giving you some bribes. Maybe it's time to embrace real celebration, which means not passive, no sitters. Take a side, learn, do your part, get involved. A government is to govern. A government is to govern, it's not to. And I think I'll end my statement with this, Paul. What you have given, Paul, from where I come from 30 years of research, oh my God. It might be a match in a dark room, but now we got light. It might not be a sun, it's a match. But it dispels darkness. Now you can see something, you can begin. If not, we are running around blind, we are running around believing what somebody said who I am. Now I at least have a gauge. And I think that has to be worshipped and venerated and held. And I think without that, there is no sight. I always say, I might have the answer, but you don't even know the question. And I give you my answer without knowing the question, you're going to abuse the answer for something. Like meditation is absolutely being with oneself. It's not a goddamn posture or a guy who hasn't learned to shave in many months or years think he's the authority. It's almost I be unfaithful to everything that has been placed onto me. Sitting in that is meditation. Right now, meditation seems to be enforcing, which they've destroyed the word. My statement is in this podcast. Thank you for the PAT, Paul. Thank you for your life support. I am, from my position where I am, wow. Wow. Groping in the dark, I have some light now. And my disciples can kind of navigate using that. That's my thanks, Paul. Your statement?
I just have one sentence to say. Ignorance is bliss. And you have a choice to be able to find out whether or not you want to maintain this blissfulness that is an illusion of your ignorance, or if you're going to take a stand and come to places that will help you do that honestly, like the DV Institute. I don't think the PAT would have come out if it wasn't for the relationship, if it wasn't for the opportunity to see it correctly executed. So I'm an honor too.
Thank you.
Always,
Thank you.
Always.
Yeah.